We are at the red carpet premiere of Apple TV's new show, Dear Edward. This show of resilience and grief is sure to have you in tears, but also the most heartwarming story. You won't want to miss any of it. The carpet starts right now.
What's it like being famous?
I'm not famous.
Yeah, okay.
This is grief counseling? Anyone's invited to speak.
People meet me and they think she's the woman whose nephew survived the plane crash. But they forget I'm also the woman who lost my big sister.
One more over here, please.
You look fantastic. I mean, this is your name's up on the whole thing. I mean, that's you. How crazy. The character, yes, of course, yes. What is it that you think so many people want to write to Edward? Because obviously you are the sole survivor of this tragic event. What do you think causes so many people to reach out and to want to connect to Edward?
I think people want to reach out because they connect with Edward in some way or another. Edward is going through a period of loss. That's an understatement, but yeah, period of loss. And people reach out to him because they want to be able to connect with other people, relate, maybe even make Edward feel better. But of course, there's the weird letters that are, kind of strange. But
tell me a little bit about what drew you to Dee Dee and the show itself, and what do you hope audiences get from this show?
Well, Jason Katims is what drew me to the show because we did Friday Night Lights together, and he called me one day and said, I'm writing this show and I'm writing this part and I just envision you in it, and who doesn't want to hear that? Yeah. And then he was telling me about the part, and I thought it was so funny. I loved so much that he was thinking of me. It didn't seem like the usual kind of part for me to play, especially compared to Tammy Taylor in Friday Night Lights. But I loved that. Like, that made it exciting to me, and he was so collaborative with me about it, and we really got to talk it through together and kind of create the journey of a character together.
Yeah. What do you hope audiences get from this show?
How to deal with healing. I feel like it's more than just grief. It's just like the reality of honesty and vulnerability and trust and faith and resilience, and so much that goes into this story that it's just like, it just kind of shows you that you can get through these things, and you're going to deal with these things, but you will get through them. You know what I mean?
Well, I watched a trailer of this and I was already in tears. What do you think audiences are going to most resonate with this show?
Dear Edward is it's a show to people, it's like a letter to people in grief. When you're going through something, or if you're going through grief, if you've lost someone really close in your life, or it doesn't always have to be the family you're born with. It could be your chosen family, it could be your friends, your best friends, a pet. And this show really shows how even a stranger on the street can help you so much with such a horrible catastrophe like in the show.
What really drew you to the project? Did you read the book prior to your preparation as well?
That's a personal question that I'm not going to be able to answer right now.
Okay, I was like, oh wait, how it happened?
No, I think what drew me to the project was just sort of like this sort of big web of characters that, I think, on the surface have nothing to relate to each other about. And something horrible brings them together, but they're authentically brought together. They really connect and they really find community with each other. Yeah, it's sort of powerful and unexpected.
Well, tell me a little about your character in Dear Edward, because I watched the trailer and I was already in tears. So are you going to make me cry when I watch this show?
Yes.
Yes. Okay,
hopefully. I play Steve, who's like a finance tycoon in New York City, and he is a fascinating character who loses his brother in the plane crash, and as a result, he goes through all the stages of grief and then some, and has a very messy way of dealing with it, because he's normally a very, very straight-laced kind of conservative, knows his stuff, has everything together, and as the show goes on, he's forced to confront some very very sad truths in the past.
Well, my biggest question is just tell me a little bit about your character and what is it that you hope audiences get from this show when they watch it?
Yeah, so Kojo is my character, Kojo Ansah. He's an entrepreneur from Ghana. He lives in Ghana. He takes care of his family. He's got many nieces and nephews. Very charismatic character, which is quite close to Idris in real life. Yeah. Definitely close to Idris in real life. One thing that I definitely want people to take away from this is, grief is such a heavy thing, but there is some element of beauty in grief, and that's like the life. In Ghana in particular, funerals are a big thing. When people are like mourning, it's a big thing. It's celebrated. It's yes, you have your moment of mourning and weeping, but the celebration of that person's life is what really kind of triumphs, and that was something that I really wanted to bring to the character.
Now, your character picks up Edward's life and, infiltrates, adds him into the family. What was that experience like in creating those characters in that storyline together?
Well, Colin's amazing, and he's my buddy, so it was great fun. Working with a 12-year-old is amazing. If they're good, it's amazing, because, it's like it's a lot of fart jokes on set, you know what I mean? So we had a really good time.
What was it like working on this show and the preparation for this role as well?
Well, the initial part was when my agent called and they were like, it's a show with Jason Katims, Taylor Schilling, and Connie Britton. I was like, tell them yes. She was like, don't you want to read it? I was like, no, I don't care what the part is. You tell them yes. So wonderful to work with such talented people. And I just think it's really nice to have something that's like so centered on grief, but ultimately like really hopeful and about human resilience and like putting things in perspective in our own lives and how to deal with people who are grieving. It's really beautiful. I'm so proud to be a part of it.
And now you play Jordan, so you play the older brother. So obviously we know the fate, unfortunately. So what was it like shooting this and preparing for the role, and then also coming back and having some of those like flashback scenes too?
I think one of the most challenging parts was just keeping your head straight which Jordan you were playing, you know what I mean? Because something we talked a little bit about, and we didn't want to just like overtly do it, but something that we had in the back of our minds was the Jordan that Eddie sees is different than the Jordan in real life. And that's something that I definitely tried to keep in the back of my mind. So just a little bit more of I think I tried to add in a little bit more of a swagger, a little bit more of a confidence when I was appearing to Eddie, because that's how his younger brother would see him. And I think that was the most important thing, tracking that for me.
Zoe is somebody that is used to a lot of the finer things in life, and so when she's sort of hit with this devastating grief of losing her father unexpectedly, she has to process that in grief in the way that everyone has to process death at a certain point, but then finding out later that her father is not the person that she thought he was adds a different layer that was really interesting to sort of dive into.
What was it like with the collaborative effort of the executive producers, having the writer of the book, having Connie Britton and Colin all working on this? What was that like for you?
It was I think you said the word collaborative, and that's really what this whole experience feels like it was marked by. It was like a real team effort. And Jason, who wrote the show, is really invested in my opinion, in Connie's opinion, in Colin's opinion, and really wants to know that we're all sort of like a part of and understanding what we're making. And so he really created a beautiful environment. He created a team.
Yeah. What happened isn't fair, Edward, but I'm going to do my best to take care of you. And that is the truth that will never go away.
So, you know, you mop it up. Well, you wanted it your